I'm probably the only person in the world that read the Sunday Times editorial from start to finish. It's a lengthy, not very interesting and not very well done tome in which it basically says Labour are rubbish, but they are untested rubbish, whereas we've tested the rubbish from the Conservatives and that was found short. And that there are big issues ahead and we're not sure that Starmer's up for it, but we're going to back him anyway. The more interesting point is, why hasn't the Sun said? Murdoch always told me to get in early with the endorsement for whichever party he wanted to support, because that would do him good in the corridors of power afterwards. If you come at the last minute, it's almost like I don't believe it vote. Well, the Sun hasn't said yet. It's only got 3 days to go. And the reason they haven't said is because between 2009 and 2013, Starmer was the Director of Public Prosecutions, which charged 25 totally innocent journalists. They lost 3 years of their life before they were all cleared by the Lord Chief Justice, effectively, right? And therefore, they shouldn't want to give until the last moment an endorsement to Labour. The party they should give the endorsement to is the one that their readers have supported, which is, because they're white working class, they support reform. That came out in a poll. Why don't the Sun actually do what their readers want to do, rather than what they view as their commercial imperative, which is being able to wander around the corridors of power and get changes in communications bills and the like?
Do you think that the Sun will ultimately fall in behind Keir Starmer and Labour before Thursday, Kelvin, or is it a bit of a 50-50?
Well, as I said, I imagine that they're going to eventually go for Labour. But does it matter? The Sun only sells, right? This is as a print version, right? In my day, I know it's a completely different world. 4.5 million, 12 million readers. It was incredible, astonishing. It may not have been the Sun what won it, but it came bloody close to winning it. So that was fine. Today it sells 400,000. And an online endorsement on Sun Online isn't worth threepence. Who reads that, right? Boom. They're in the old days, yes, that may have meant something, because at that time the paper was probably selling round about 3 million. In the good old days, 4.3 million under my expert tutelage. But those were different days. So the Sun Online, another brilliant headline, the Sun Online is a complete waste of space, and the Sun paper is actually read by elderly, white, working class, natural reform voters. OK, stay with us, Kelvin. I want to talk about the Euros in a second, but let me bring in my pundits if I can. Neil, Linda and Emma. Linda, do you think that this move by the FT and the Sunday Times suggests that UK media is shifting leftwards?
I think I've seen for some time now, I'm not sure whether Kelvin would agree with me, that certainly the FT has been heading towards Labour, and I think it does matter what those two papers do. I agree completely with Kelvin about reform, Sun readers and reform, but do reform matter to Rupert Murdoch? Probably not.
Yeah. What do you think, Neil? Are you surprised by this move, particularly the Sunday Times, to support Labour?
Yeah, more by the Times. The FT has always been sort of, of course, they're very much a Remain paper, basically, the FT, and was always going to go in that direction. So I'm not surprised by the FT. But the Times, yes, I think it's probably they are trying to choose the least worst of the alternatives. That's what the Times
absolutely. Emma, briefly, if you can, do you think, as Kelvin was saying, does anyone really care what these papers come out in support of and who they support?
Well, newspaper circulation is absolutely dropping through the floor, but they do still set the broadcast agenda. You know, we still do the paper. I was here this morning doing the paper review. The Radio 4 Today programme is led by the paper headline. So it does still set the agenda, even if the actual readerships are considerably lower.
Yeah, and I guess it's symbolic. Kelvin, before you go, you founded TalkSport Radio, another career triumph for you. Can we talk about England's performance today? First of all, do you still rate Gareth Southgate, and is it coming home?
Well, look, honestly, he's a phenomenally lucky guy, isn't he? Maybe literally with seconds to go, gives the whole nation a heart attack. Do you know what? I used to be massively hostile to him. I used to be massively hostile to the England team. Do you know what? They're through to the quarterfinals. I honestly, if they can carry on with this luck, who knows? They might end up owning GBNews as well. They're doing it. It is an astonishing performance. I don't know what to say. I'm just pleased they won, to be frank.